You know, I don't like these guys. I don't like the dudes who went marching through Charlottesville with tiki torches. I think it's the utmost cringe. I think it's logically inconsistent. I think they have bad morals and bad opinions. And I don't care to defend any of their ideas or any of their goals. Quite the opposite. I think we are all better off working against the goals of these individuals who are marching around saying, in my opinion, stupid things. I'll read in a second. That being said, this is a crazy story. Torch-carrying marchers indicted in Charlottesville rally. As the old saying goes, I didn't defend the unions because I wasn't in a union. I didn't defend the teachers because I wasn't a teacher. And then they all got arrested. And then once they were gone, there was no one left to speak up for me. Yeah, again, I don't like any of these guys, to be completely honest. I got no problem debating their ideas or having conversations with them. I think they're all completely wrong. And their worldview is based upon incomplete information. Or, simply put, a group of moral foundations that I think are just bad, and I think we would be better served to resist. But there's one thing I have to say. Indicting them for walking around with torches is psychotic. This is where we are. This is where the state of this country has gone. And as much as I don't know whose side these guys are on, to be honest, because they're just like authoritarian identitarians. It's like these are white nationalists, many of them. I can't say that every single one of them is, but for the most part, they're white nationalists. They have identitarian worldviews, which I am opposed to. And but it's like the inverse of Black Lives Matter. That's actually how they described it. They view it as basically the same thing as Black Lives Matter, but for white people. I can certainly say that in this country, the left, these leftist identitarians absolutely hate white people. I don't think the solution is just countering by advocating for like white rights or anything like that. I think the solution is civil rights in general. Well, the left identitarian faction, the woke faction, opposes that. And so do these people to a great degree. Here's what they're arguing. Let me read this for you. They say nearly 6 years after a large gathering of white nationalists in Charlottesville erupted in violent clashes, a grand jury in Virginia has indicted multiple people on felony charges for carrying flaming torches with the intent to intimidate. When Antifa marches through a street with weapons, is that intimidating? Recently, I think it was the University of Pittsburgh, far-left extremists burned an effigy of Michael Knowles. Was that burning an object in an effort to intimidate? I mean, the left does it all the time. In fact, they outright just burn vehicles and garbage in the street. They did it in D.C. Where are any of those criminal charges? So this is the point. The left will wield power as they see fit. They don't care what makes sense, what is logical, or what is legal. They'll do it. So here we are. Commonwealth's attorney James Hingley did not say in the release how many people have been indicted and did not immediately return a call and email seeking comment. According to electronic court records, the indictment is against 3 people have been unsealed. William Zachary Smith, Tyler Bradley, and Tyler Bradley Dykes of Bluffton, and Dallas Medina. It was hard to read because Dallas is also the name of a city. And I was like, is it the city name? Each is charged with a single count of burning an object with the intent of intimidating a person or group of people. The charge carries a maximum penalty of up to 5 years in prison. Now, come on. No sane person thinks a tiki torch is burning an object to intimidate. Like that's meant to be, burning a cross in someone's yard or setting something on fire to scare someone is obviously different from someone carrying a tiki torch. Now, I got to be honest. It's going to be very hard for these people to win this one for 2 reasons. One, most of us despise them. You know what I mean? Like, who is going to want to stand up in their defense? But you know what? That's the way things are supposed to be. Everyone is supposed to be afforded a proper legal defense in this country. And I view this as an attack on freedom of speech. They weren't burning things in a destructive way. They weren't burning effigies. They weren't burning flags. They were carrying tiki torches. How is that an intent to intimidate? But it doesn't matter. The people in these jurisdictions, they seek to weaponize the power of law enforcement against those they don't like. And the big problem here, oh boy, do I not like these guys. I think most of you listening probably don't either. So boy, what do we do? Yeah, that's what sucks. I don't care for virtue signaling. I don't care to come out and be like, I want to make sure everybody knows I don't like these guys. No, I mean, I genuinely think that their views are very similar to the woke left identitarian views when it comes to race. But if it was Antifa marching down the street, I'd defend their right to free speech all the same. If there were a bunch of leftists marching around with flags and signs, my statement, or tiki torches for that matter, is they're allowed to do it. In fact, I will make sure this is clear to all of the leftists who stumble upon this video. I have routinely defended left-wing protests obstructing streets. When it was, I believe it was Extinction Rebellion, chained themselves in the middle of the street and like parked boats in intersections. I said, good. Absolutely. Those that do not allow nonviolent civil disobedience will only get violent conflict. As the saying goes, those who make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable. I believe that was JFK who said that. My view is, if you've got a group of people like, the far left or otherwise, obstructing a roadway, okay, you arrest them. They made their point. They were disruptive, but they didn't hurt anybody or cause permanent damage. Nonviolent civil disobedience, I believe, is the acceptable line crossing. It's illegal, but come on. I mean, there's no permanent damage. You arrest them. You clear it out. Yes, it's annoying. I know a lot of people on the right are like, no, we should never tolerate this. And I'm like, there has to be a way to push on the boundaries and get a point across so that people can feel like pressure is being relieved, like people heard what they had to say. For these guys, this is it. They didn't even block the road. What they did is not illegal. They marched down a sidewalk, and now they're being criminally charged. So as much as I don't like them, we have to defend free speech in this country. And this is how insane things are getting. Prosecutors said the indictments were issued as part of criminal investigation that is active and ongoing, adding they work with law enforcement to investigate, analyze applicable laws, and bring charges when appropriate. This is our process regardless of how much time has passed or where the alleged offenders may be found. Former President Trump set up a firestorm of criticism when he said there were very fine people on both sides of the clashes between white nationalists and anti-racist demonstrators in Charlottesville. You see how they still lie? They lie. Oh, they're so evil. Man, I'm just at my wit's end today. I just put out a video where I said Ron DeSantis should pursue criminal charges against Jazz Jennings' mother. I'm not here for this, man. Donald Trump said there were very fine people on both sides, and I am not talking about the white supremacists or neo-Nazis because they should be condemned totally. That's what he said. They just keep lying. This is the world we live in. Evil people doing evil things to gain power. And this is just another part of that. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe if these people had power, they'd do the exact same thing. I don't trust these guys. I think many of them are really stupid. I think some of them are downright evil as well. I believe identitarianism is an overtly evil ideology. And I get it. Leftist identitarians have power, and they're pushing for this stuff. Critical race theory, critical gender theory. They want race and identity-based law. It's identitarianism. That's what it means. Identity and Aryanism. Identity-based government. I don't want it from anybody. I don't want it from these guys. I don't want it from those guys. It is not a simple act of left versus right. It is, do we defend freedom and rights? And unfortunately for all of us, nasty guys like this, they get rights too. Or I should say, to be honest, like fortunately to a certain degree, we are all afforded the right to speak our minds. So, as I've stated before, and I'll state again, when the left engages in peaceful protest, they have my support wholeheartedly. I disagree with them on their causes, but I absolutely agree with their right to protest. Yet here's what we saw. In 2020, during the lockdowns, when BLM protests marched through cities, they were defended and protected. When right-wing groups did the same thing, they were attacked, villainized, and they attempted to charge these people criminally. They shut down churches. The left was allowed to gather, the right was not. Now you have these guys, which they're not right-wing because many of them are collectivist. I mean, they're literally just white collectivists. So that's not right-wing or whatever sense. I don't know whose side they're on. But they deserve free speech all the same. Same as the left. But here's the deal. They're being criminally charged because they are also enemies of the woke cult. So the woke cult will subvert your rights, will burn it all to the ground, and steal power. And it's happening right before our eyes. It's a creepy one, man. When Twitter started banning these people, I said that was wrong too. If you take away the vehicle by which people can express themselves, then you are going to get violence. And that's what happened. So I can only imagine things will just get worse in this country, especially as you see what happened in Chicago. Let me juxtapose the two extreme positions. Roving bands of marauders in Chicago, predominantly young black teenagers and young adults, it wasn't all teenagers, attacked people, destroyed property, set cars on fire. And the mayor-elect said, don't demonize them. And a state senator said, you can't blame them. They were anti-poverty protests. These guys, I think also equally despicable, are being criminally charged. All right. I hope y'all realize this is not going to go to a good place. Racial tensions are going to get worse, and the crazies are going to get crazier. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Stick around, and I'll see you all shortly.